Feeling better after a run. It's always good getting outside, moving your body. Another reason why working from home is not a good thing. Being alone, sat on your sofa, lose. Obviously, for childcare reasons, or if you've got a poorly kid, yeah, people need to have flexibility, or if you work for yourself or you're an artist, there's lots of people who work from home, it's all good. But in general, for large corporations, people need to get outside. It's terrible sitting in a house all day. Anyway, as ever, there is so many things to talk about. You know, that's why it is quite overwhelming. And in times like this, that are so ridiculous. Like I said last night, it was really nice just actually putting down the phone. Just watched a cooking program, really mundane. Read a magazine. I might have only read it for 5 minutes, but still it was refreshing, and it reminded my brain of easier, more simpler times. And I think, you know, we're in for an interesting time, and we're at the beginning of this present government. So I think we all need to do what's right for ourselves, take time out here and there and play the long game. But we need to look after ourselves first and foremost. I think we've all been in a little turmoil. It's all been really contentious and emotional, and because there's so many things going wrong, it can get overwhelming. So I think all putting the phone down more, or just not watching the news as often, I think is something I definitely need to do, and probably something most of us need to do in this day and age. You know, and again, when I always talk about the past being perfect, obviously it wasn't, but people would come home from work at 5:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever, and they wouldn't have a mobile phone, they wouldn't have a laptop. And you know, often I find I'm on my phone, or I'm working till like 10 p.m. because it's there. I think we all need to get that balance, and turning off phones and switching off and talking to our family or friends, or going back to having hobbies. Remember them? Those things we did in evenings and weekends. You know, and I was a bit quiet for a week or so, just needing to take time out, and it was so good. Selfishly, it was so good, because you just switch off from the insanity. We can't all do that all the time, because we do need to keep aware and just keep our knowledge at a decent level. But it isn't good focusing on all these negative news stories, which they are all negative and relentless and quite dark. So balance is what is needed. You know, my son was telling me about going to a party in a couple of weeks. He's into the teen years and started to branch out a bit. And I know in my day, my mum might have worried a bit about boys or getting drunk. But my first instinct was worrying about being out and about and in town, and knife crime and terror. Those are the two things. And how sad is that? That those are the things that cross your mind when your son tells you he's going into town. But that, I think, is what so many parents fear these days. It's a massive thing. And, you know, the stories we hear are pretty much every day of such horrible crimes. And we have Labour talking about getting tough on knife crime. Like, people handing some knives in is going to make much difference. We really do need to get to proper zero tolerance, like Rudy Giuliani did in New York. I don't know exactly what he did, but and get to the crux of the problem, of which there are so many. Just broken societies, young kids with no focus or direction, people with very differing beliefs and mentalities and backgrounds, and no cohesion, which I've spoken about a lot. About we need to celebrate Britain again, make patriotism really good, and bring us all together under one nation. That is Great Britain, and all the amazing things we have to be proud of. I think if everyone was proud of this country again, that would be a great step. and then giving kids focus, giving them a sense of belief and purpose and aspirations. And then in terms of bringing back respect, we've really lost respect. And like I've said in the past, in my day, my school was very strict, so you could get the slipper. My brothers could get the cane, they were older. That went by the time I came there. But you really were scared of teachers. We would stand up for adults who came into class. We did have more traditional conservative values at the school. We did have more Christian tradition and culture with harvest festivals, things like that. Just these little steps that made you feel, I don't know, safer, more grounded. You knew your place, you had your respect, you understood your country. I think it's all these little steps that are needed. As I said, another thing that is really stressing me out is the net zero thing. You know, hearing about taxes on boilers again. Well, in our village and all of them around here, there is only oil, no alternative. So we're sitting ducks, that's what we have to use. And I'm hearing ridiculous stories about heat pumps, how expensive and ineffective. And I don't understand, well, I do, but I really wish we had really progressive, fair governments with real knowledge and intellect and smart, innovative thinking of like having green biofuels that you could create, having a Great Britain fuel, none of this Great Britain energy bollocks, which nobody knows what it means other than a financing racket kind of thing. So Great Britain fuel that could be produced and is a synthetic, pure, environmentally friendly fuel. I could be talking out my bum here, but hey, we're in 2024, you'd think that'd be possible. And you could create loads of jobs and ship it to the world, and it can be used in current cars and current boilers. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then them talking about pay per mile, which again, unless you're in London, I've lived in Surrey, I've lived in Manchester, I've lived all over the place, but in masses of people live in the countryside, and there is nothing near me for 10 miles bar a post office. And like yesterday, I had to drive 20 miles there and back to school. I then had to drive about 18 miles to go help an elderly lady I look after. I then had to go to a train station to pick up my son. That's about 10 miles. I then had to take him to a sports thing. That was another 10 miles away. You know, it's constant. We have 2 buses a day in the village, and there is no alternative. There's nothing for elderly, as I said, apart from these odd bus here or there. And as I said, I help an elderly lady. There's loads of carers. They're in their car all day. I mean, again, it's such a regressive policy. Like all these lorries and deliveries and suppliers and businesses, it'll all just go to pot. I'm not talking conspiracies. We all know about certain plans. But wouldn't it be nice if we just had a government that was on our side? The people who were good and hardworking and did their best. Wouldn't that be great? You know, you hear of, like, is it Glasgow and their ULEZ caused pollution levels to go up 10%, you know, or 20 mile per hour zones, and they don't understand that the slower you go, the lower the gear, the more emissions that come up, the more stop and start, the more revving an engine, the more traffic, just creates more pollution, more traffic, more queues. Nothing is joined up anymore. Just dropped my earbud. And it causes such a headache. So again, get your dog if you have one. Go for a run, move your body, play some great music, put the phone down, which I'll do next, and just do some good things for yourselves, because we're going to have to be kind to ourselves.